Upsetmax here, and we are back with another TFT masterclass on the new patch 14.21. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 reroll comps that you should be playing on this patch for free LP. So we have 3 relatively new or re-emerged comps, and then 2 comps that are still very good. We're going to be talking about Warwick Vanguards, Hwei Ezreal Vanguards, so the 4 blaster version, and also Bastion Ahri coming back into the meta. Hunter Jinx Wukong and Mage's reroll is still very strong, and that'll be talked about at the very end. Let's get straight into it. Warwick Vanguards is now a composition that has more conditions where you're able to play it rather than just the previous condition, which was Corrupt Vampiric Scepter. Because they have removed Corrupt Vampiric Scepter, they had increased the Warwick stats for his bonus damage on hits and also his healing. So this means that this unit in general is just a lot stronger, and now there are other conditions that will lead you to playing this composition rather than just the previous one. We're going to be re-rolling Warwick. We're going to be rerolling other 1 costs as well and staying low level. So we'll be rolling a bit on level 4 and then eventually slow roll on level 5. This is a physical damage ramping composition because we will be building a Ginsu's Rageblade on the Warwick. And the 2 conditions, or the 2 main conditions, will either be through an artifact or through augments. So worth the wait. Of course, if you hit worth the wait gold and it is Warwick, you might as well go for the Warwick reroll. And then also if you have shields up, because you will be going 6 Vanguards and also 4 Vanguards also got buffed for a stronger mid game. The second condition is if you have an artifact that really suits Warwick as well. So Rapid Fire Cannon is very good on him, same with Mittens. So let's get a little bit into what the board will look like. So this is going to be your level 5 board, although you want to be rolling a little bit on level 4 as well. So your main initial plan is not to spend any gold until 3-1. Then you're going to be rolling on level 4 right after Krugs to get some Warwick copies and then also some Twitch copies. Your best in slot on Warwick is going to be a Rageblade plus Titans for sure. These 2 items are mandatory. And then your very last one is either going to be Quicksilver if you don't have any extra CC immunity. For example, if you already have shields up, then you can forego the Quicksilver and build another Titans, Hodge, or Edge of Night. Or if you have a Banshee's Veil from a support item, same thing, you could build a second Titans, Hand of Justice, or another Edge of Nights. Rich best in slot is going to be a red buff, and then also whatever leftover attack damage or attack speed items you have after itemizing your Warwick. And then Blitzcrank, you can go for Blitzcrank 3 as well, since you're going to be rerolling for 2 other 1 costs, and Blitzcrank will just hold any other tank items, especially an Even Shroud, and then you'll want to same side the Warwick and the Blitzcrank, so the Warwick is hitting whatever is affected by the Even Shroud. Regarding positioning, normally you want to have Warwick actually on the far edges, so either in this first position or in the second position. However, you need to make sure that you're not going to get bursted by single target units. For example, a Veigar onto this Warwick will be very, very strong. Same with like a Deja Vu Galio. This is how you're eventually going to cap out your board, by playing 6 Vanguards as you go up in levels, and also an Olaf eventually for 3 Frost and 2 Hunter. Best in slot augments to go along with this composition, going to be shields up for sure. Any sort of forge item to fish for the rapid fire cannon or the mittens. In this case, it would go over the Quicksilver and you'd keep the other 2 items. Anger issues is very good, just triple Rageblade on the Warwick, triple Rageblade on the Twitch. Immovable object, inspiring epitaph, pumping up, and also not today are going to be good augments to go along with this composition. Vertically inclined, because we have very little traits, big gains for more HP, which means a larger Vanguard shield, and also Clockwork Accelerator, because fights will be going very long with so much frontline. So definitely give this comp out a try. It's going to be very strong, especially if you hit these conditions, and Warwick is just it is a unit that you want to be holding more often now because of the recent changes. So if you like what you're seeing so far, we have a couple other ways for you to get more involved or to learn more. I have now created a new Discord for coaching, so this will be my own one. If you're interested in this, check out the link in the description. Same with the GoFundMe if you're interested in supporting me at the TFT Macau Open at the end of this year. Thank you so much. So moving on with our second composition now is going to be Blaster Vanguards. So this is a little bit of an altered composition from last patch's Mordekaiser plus Hwei reroll. Used to play around like Preservers and like Frost. Now because of a 4 blaster piece buff going from 60 to 65%, now we'll be playing the 4 blaster version instead and also rerolling that Ezreal. So this is going to be a lot of reroll on 3 costs. We're going to be rerolling on level 7, and this is going to be a mixed damage composition, so both physical and magic damage, and a fast-paced comp fast-paced burst comp. This is going to be requiring some sort of item surplus, so either from a region like component anvils, or like completed item, or any sort of augments, because we will eventually be having 3-3-star carries. So this is what your board is going to look like on level 7. You're going to level 7 on either stage 3, 5, or 4, 1 and roll for this board. And you want to roll until you have at least 2-star Mordekaiser, 2-star Ezreal, and 2-star Hwei in order to stabilize on stage 4. Best in slot for your Ezreal is going to be 2 Infinity Edges plus 1 Shojin. The way Last Whisper works is the units will get hit by the Ezreal ult and take that damage before Last Whisper gets applied, so before the Sunder gets applied. That's why you would rather not build a Last Whisper and put a Even Shroud on your front line instead. Hwei Bis is going to be a blue slash a Shojin plus 2 AP items, so either like Nashor's, Morello is good, you could do Nashor's Rabadons, Nashor's JG, you can also do Archangels, but blue plus preferably Nashor's and another AP item is going to be your Bis. And then Mordekaiser will be holding your magic tank items. This includes Adaptive Helm, Spark, and Crown Guard. Kench will be holding your Even Shroud and also any extra mana items such as a Redemption or a Protector's Vow. In regards to positioning, because we have so much burst from these units, hence a fast-paced composition, we want to be positioning initially to burst important enemy units, especially melee carries. So if we're fighting against, let's say, a Kassadin reroll, we want to make sure that this Ezreal and Mordekaiser are right in front of the Kassadin and getting ready to burst it ASAP, with the Even Shroud, of course, on the same side. To cap out your board, you're just going to be playing an Arcana units, so either like a Hecarim or a Ahri, eventually a Xerath, and then Arcana signifying those once you get them over the Tahm Kench. Best in slot augments, shields up again because of the Vanguard buffs and also because we have 4 Vanguard frontline. Triforce / 3's a crowd, so this is a augment that are normally not taken, but it's going to be very good here because of our 3-star carries. All that shimmers will allow you to hit a better econ, and then also you'll be able to add a collector onto your Ezreal. Vanguard / Blaster Crest or Crown will allow you to go into the 6 vertical of their respective traits, so either 6 Blaster or 6 Vanguard. And then last but not least, the last one I really recommend is Pandora's Bench, because you have 3-star, 3 costs that you will be looking to fish for. Other ones are normally just like survivability or other item surplus. So like survivability here with a Randuin's item surplus, Inspire Epitaph is always good, same with Combat Caster, and then Giant Mighty, more survivability, more HP, and more of a Vanguard shield. So this composition, definitely very good. I normally play this either just from a AD starts and then you get some sort of reroll opener, or some of the AP starts. So that's why you could itemize both of these units just depending on what your initial board is. Then our last main comp that we're going to be talking about today is going to be the Ahri Bastions comp, but after the rework. So no more of this true damage orb that goes out, one-shots a few, and then come back. Now it's going to be a stacking orb that will be launching Foxfires and dealing true damage from these Foxfires. So this is going to be a 1 to 2 cost reroll composition, which means we're going to be rerolling from level 4 all the way up to level 6. And this is going to be a magic damage scaling comp, and the longer the fight goes, the stronger our Ahri will be. Because this is all magic damage, we will be requiring some sort of shred, either Spark or a Shiv, and Econ augments because we are going for a lot of 3 stars here. And as you can see, the Ahri has received another buff after a few patches of direct buffs, which means that now this composition is back into the meta. This is what your level 6 board is going to look like after you hit your 3 stars for your 1 cost. But before then, you want to make sure that you're not spending any gold going up until stage 3-1. Then right after Krugs, you're going to have the best chance to hit your 1 cost units on level 4 odds. And this is where you're going to roll a bit for your Lily, Poppy, and Zoe copies. The next turn on 3-2, you will naturally level to 5. You want to econ a little bit up and then eventually slow roll 50 on level 5 for this Lily 3, Poppy 3, and this Zoe 3. After you hit these 3 stars, then you want to slowly go level 6 and start slow rolling for Ahri 3 before pumping levels, and you eventually want to go level 8 to fill in 2 more scholars here. So that is going to be the game plan for how you want to navigate on the levels of when you want to be rolling. Best in slot onto Ahri is just going to be pure damage because Nashor's or Shojin does not work that well with her cast animation, and also because she already has Scholar. So blue buff for sure is going to be really good, and then your next 2 items is just going to be a Rabadons plus a Jewel Gauntlet. You can also do like a Jewel Gauntlet plus a Guard Breaker, but we definitely recommend this, although you will be requiring a lot of rods. In regards to itemization on your front line, you want to be putting your tank items on the Lilia. So this will be like a Warmogs, a Spark, a Redemption, anything but a Gargoyles, because you already are going vertical Bastion. And then you want to put a Thieves Gloves on your Poppy. This is how you're eventually going to cap out your board with a Rise or a Milio. Until you get the Milio, then you could just play a Bard instead for that 4 Scholar and put that heal cut onto that Rise. There's a lot of augments that are really good with this composition, so high horsepower is going to be the Lilia Hero augment. In this case, you will be going Bloodthirster, Titans, and Archangels on this Lilia instead of generic tank items, because this case, Lilia will be a hard carry. Higher Education is very good for Scholars, learning the spell, just accumulating a lot of AP, and all these units have AP scaling essentially except for Hecarim. Pandora's Bench, an upgraded Adventure, and Spellcaster's Toolbox are going to be augments you want to be keeping an eye out for as well for this composition. High Voltage will solve your problem of not having any Shred. Magic Wand, more AP for everyone, plus one of these rods that you really need. Comet Caster, Giant Mighty, Band of Thieves for TG on the Poppy, Witchy Wallop for the Poppy Hero augment. In this case, you will be going Infinity Edge. I'll write this out here. Infinity Edge, Hodge, and BT as your 3 items on this Poppy Hero augments. And then last but not least, Scholar Crest or Crown to help you get to 6 Scholar. So definitely go for this composition if you have a lot of Lilias, Poppies, and Zoes early, and if you have Tears or Rods ready to make into some of these items. So those were the 3 compositions that were kind of new or coming back into the meta. 2 reroll compositions that have been around for a while and are still good are going to be the Hunters and the Mages. So starting off with the Hunters, we already kind of know how to play this composition because it's been around for a bit. Because we're going to be rerolling 3 costs, level 7 on either 3, 5, or 4-1, just depending on how rich you are or just how stable your board is. And you're going to roll for 2-star Jinx and 2-star Wukong. SS slot Jinx is going to be 2 Runons plus a Rage Blade. You could also do 2 Rage Blades and a Runons. Both of these are fine as well. However, the Runons build is a bit more favored. The Wukong Bastion slot, so you have 2 types of Wukong builds. We have a spin to win and a non-spin to win. So we'll talk about the generic non-spin to win Wukong first, where he is just a pure tank. Is going to be 2 Gargoyles plus a Warmogs or a 3rd Gargoyles, just depending on what items you have. If you have the spin to win augments from 3-2, now Wukong becomes more of a tank melee bruiser. So you'll be building a Gargoyle still and frontlining him, solo frontlining him, plus a Bloodthirster and a Sterix or a Titans if you can't get that Sterix. Because you have 1 frontline unit and so much backline, you will be normally incentivized to clump for this Kog'Maw attack speed. However, against enemy boards that have a lot of AoE, you want to make sure to declump and solo backline your Jinx, at least in one corner, and then place the other units in the other corner so she does not get splashed. Example of this will be Vertical Portal and avoiding those large bombs, Nami Waves, Briars, and also Dianas. So there were a few small nerfs into this composition, mainly to the augments regarding this composition, and also just 6 Hunter. So like category 5 got nerfed a little bit, same with Hunting Frenzy, and then 6 Hunter. However, the composition is still good, and it's definitely still playable on this patch. And then the next composition that has been around for at least 1 patch now, and is still rather good, is the Seraphine Soraka Mages. You're going to be rerolling for both Seraphine and Soraka 3 on level 4 to 5. And then after you hit these units, then you can slowly go up to level 7 and slow roll for this Vex 3. You want to be prioritizing your Seraphine items first, so either an Adaptive or a Shojin for some mana gen, some form of heal cut, so either a red buff or a Morello, and then some sort of AP, either a Rabadon's or a Jewel Gauntlet. Rabadon's is a bit better. For your Vex, you're going to be wanting to put some magic tank items, / just regular tank items, so Spark, Crown Guard, and then Gargoyles, Warmogs, Redemption, Vow, and Adaptive are all suitable as well. Any leftover AP / mana gen items you will be putting on your Soraka or Nami, and as mentioned, there were a little bit of nerfs into this composition. However, it's still strong in the patch, especially if you have learning the spell, or just a good start with Seraphine, Soraka copies, and some AP items. So there are some other honorable mentions for rerolls on this patch. So Syndra is definitely a contender if you hit a Syndra from your early boxes. So this will be like your stage 1 drops, or even on your 2-1, and you have a mana item for her, which is going to be Shojin. Then you can maybe play Syndra if your spot is good. You can either play the Vanguards version and reroll Mordekaiser, or you can play the vertical Eldritch version if you have a +1. Ascendant multi-strikers is also going to be very good. However, this composition is very augment dependent and you need some sort of melee survivability because your main carry is going to be a melee unit. So this will be like Keepers, Unified, Row Rejuvenation along these lines. Deja Vu Galio, if you have Rage Blades, or at least the makings of a Rage Blade, so like 1 bow or at least like 1 rod. In this case, you'll be going 6 Vanguard and rerolling on level 6 for this Galio. Sweet Tooth plus Honeymancy Nunu is going to be still very good, especially with the Honeymancy buffs. And then last but not least, Blitz Ziggs with either Zap Attack, or if you have an artifact for Blitz, which is going to be Forbidden Idol or Innervating Locket. So these are going to be some honorary mentions that are still definitely playable as well. Perhaps in the next video, we'll be going over these in detail, but for now, we will just end it off as is. So we'll do a quick recap of all the compositions that we talked about today. We talked about 3, the newly buffed Warwick going into Warwick Vanguards. Definitely play this if you have a spot for it, which is going to be either like with the weight, especially if you have shields up. I'll just do this from the front. Hwei Ezreal Vanguards, instead of playing around like Zillia and Bard now you just go 4 Blaster, 4 Vanguard, very simple because of the 4 Blaster buff. And then Bastion Ahri back into the meta. You just want to build pure damage and a blue buff on the Ahri, put your tank items on that Lilia, 3-star everything, and Arcana Signifier on the Ahri for full AP for everyone on your board. So that has been everything for today. Quite an interesting patch. This will be the last one, I believe, of this set. So PvE will be coming out soon. Keep an eye out for that. And I'm quite excited for set 13 as well. So thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you check out the description and the pinned comments. And I hope to see you next week. Have a great day.